my head's still hot, and I've been thinking, you know what? I'm saying there's a lot of things we can't change right now until the end of the season, or even till the end of Ten Hag's tenure. So, but the one thing that we can kind of like speculate over is what's going to happen at the end of the season to certain players, and I think I've seen enough this season from these players to be able to say what I want or what I think should happen to them or what I think should happen. So it's gonna be keep, sell, bench, loan type of thing. Culminating what I think should happen to Ten Hag, which will kind of mirror some of the things I said on Twitter, but I'll just reiterate it as short as possible. So we're gonna make this very quick, right? So first up, Bender saw nothing of him except one game, a cup game or something like that. Seemed to be but he needed time. He's not gonna get it, so sell. Tom Heaton, thank you for your services. Sell. Andre Onana, average to below average, everything concerning the basics of being when it comes to the basics of being a keeper, and for me that's almost an automatic get rid. However, for the style that this guy wants to play, Ten Hag wants to play, he will be good if you have the right players around him that do not have him conceding a whole heap of shots. So for now, at least until the end of next season, I say keep. He has sort of like settled down a bit, and he's been a bit better now, and his distribution has been decent to a degree. I think that he is the least of our worries right now. So for now, keep. Victor Lindelof, been a good servant, very good with what he's been given. Has always tried his best. Weak in the air, very good at playing the ball when they played on the ground. A decent pass on him as well. I'd keep him. I'd keep him for now. So, to revert three, Andre Onana is first team. Keep him, first team. Victor Lindelof, I'd keep, but I want better in front of him in the pecking order, so I would bench him. Harry Maguire should have been gone at least 3 years ago. Fuck off. Get fucking rid. Don't want him. Get out. Attitude in terms of previous years, I haven't forgiven him for that. Sure, he's only been better now because he's kept his mouth shut, because other people have been able to take the heat off of him, and still he's just been the better player of a very shit squad right now, and would not get into any team that I would want or think that could challenge for a league. So Leicester level was his level, nothing higher. Get rid, sell. Lisandro Martinez, keep. I would want him in my first team. Now he's been injured a lot this season. I think this is one of the first major injuries he's ever had. I'm not sure, but ever since leaving Ajax and coming to us, he's been a revelation. He's actually really, really good. And when he's come back and he's fit and ready, he's been one of our best, the top two people in our squad. So I would say keep. And I would, if he's fit enough and we get him fit enough, I would want him in our first team. Malacia, too injured. Even when he wasn't injured, very much lacking. His development has been very, very stunted. So I would sell. But he's injured, so I understand, and going through surgeries and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll be able to sell him on immediately, but he will be heading out the door as soon as possible. So reserves in the meantime, get him back up to speed, whatever. If we need him to be on the bench every now and again, so be it. But he's on the way out. Sell. Rafael Varane, too injured, too good of a player to not have in the squad in the first team, and also on the wrong side of the age. I think he's approaching 30 now. I would still keep him, but I think he's had way too many injuries since he's come in. He's been way too unavailable. I would persist with Martinez over him for what Martinez offers us. And I think that Varane, we have to change something. I'm a bit on the fence, so you know what? I'm flip-flopping on this a bit. I would say if we could make some money off of him, I'd sell him. Sadly, because we haven't gotten the best out of him. When he's been when he's been with us, he's been good for most of the times, but we haven't seen him enough. Both of them, both him and Martinez, to steady the ship and keep and have a good partnership for the season. It's why we've suffered so much this season. Last season they were together a lot more, and you saw the difference. So I would ultimately probably want to keep him with bringing in someone else who could deputize for him, so he doesn't have to play as many games. All right, so I'm flip flopping. I'm flip flopping. Keep first team, but because he's on his way out, I would get somebody good enough to deputize for him. So between this season and Ten Hag's last season, that person will eventually take over Varane's spot, and then we sell him. Diego Dalot, keep first team, been very good, one of the most improved players in the squad. Since Ten Hag has come in, since his return from loan, so he's been really good. Fucked up a bit today with that giving away that penalty, but it wasn't really a pen in the first place. But his attacking efficiency and stuff has risen exponentially, so I think he really wants and has earned his place in the squad. So I'd keep first team. Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has been injured so much, unfortunately, since he broke his leg. I think it was in a Champions League group game a few years ago, and he's never been the same since. I don't think he's touched the best version of himself that he could have been had he not been injured and been allowed to grow consistently. I also think that for some time he didn't apply himself properly when he got back into the game, and I think maybe it's a mentality type of thing where he was going through a tough period or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think he's had enough. He's had more time having returned from that injury, as opposed to going through that injury. So if he spent like a year and a half to 2 years out, it's been more than that since he's returned. And I think that he's been decent when he's been on, but again, he's been injured and he's been out. So I would sell if we had a proper replacement, but because he's still one of the better ones in his position, I would bench. I would find someone so I would keep but bench. I'll find someone to take his spot, to take his first team spot. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, good for if we had a certain need from him, if we needed a team to be very assured defensively. He's made the attempts to improve himself attacking wise. The team, when we played Brentford the other day, he was overlapping with Rashford, and Rashford wasn't passing him when he was doing the overlaps or underlaps. It just shows that they don't trust him with the attacking end of things. So I think he's just fit for that purpose, and I would keep a bench. Keep a bench for now. Get someone to take his spot up front. I think yeah. Brandon Williams, sell. He's on loan right now. Got caught doing was that thing helium the other day. Well, I hope he's laughing all the way out this club. You know what? He hit a ceiling. He hasn't gone beyond that. Decent lad, but not our level. So sell. Johnny Evans, bit of a revelation. Almost pretty much an unsung hero since his return. Came just to get fit again before moving on to a club, and somehow has managed to save our skins a few times. Played in this last match. Sell. I mean, dude, I didn't make this this thing, but maybe retire. I don't know. It's not that he's horrible. I just think that I don't think you can move on to another club and do any better. He's come back and he's been very good for us, all things considered. Dare I say he's made just as much as a contribution, if not more, than Harry Maguire, so a former captain. So, I really think that it's a nice time to bow out, and with all the respect that he's due. So sell or move on. Allowed to leave. Alvaro Fernandez. Haven't seen too much of him. I've been hearing good things about him. Heard that he could actually vie for, what did he play? Left back, right back? I can't remember. Either one. I think he can play across the line. But they were saying that he could challenge for whatever spot that is, left back or right back. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. So I would see if I could get him, introduce him into the squad. Obviously on the bench. Willie Kambwala. Haven't seen much about him when he's come on. He's been just come on and made up numbers. hasn't lit the place up, hasn't shown himself to be anything special. So I would move him on. I would look to sell him, make some money off of him. Amrabat, send him back. I really do not believe in immediately buying anyone who has had a good World Cup. When the fuck has anyone had a good fucking World Cup and moved to wherever they went to next and immediately lit it up? No, as far as I know, no one. At least the last the furthest memory that I remember was Oscar. It was either Oscar or the guy that went to Madrid. Oscar did go to Madrid, I think, but not him. It was, oh, what's his name? Javier. No, can't remember his name. But there was a guy that went to from the guy from Colombia. I think it was Colombia, and he ended up going to Real Madrid. Horrible. Every time after that, any of the top performers during the whatchamacallit, during the World Cup that had a good performance but was not attached to a major club, every time they went to a major club, flop, 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 flop. Sofiane Amrabat has not been any different. I think he's McTominay level in that sense. A little bit smarter, but still hasn't shown himself to be like any better than that. And we'll see what I think about Scott McTominay coming back there. So at best, he would be a bench player, low in the pecking order, but I wouldn't pay, a whole heap of money for him if I'm looking to improve the squad. And our bench needs to be better anyway. So I'd send him back. Mason Mount, we've spent a bit of money on him. Scored what we felt would have been the winning goal against Brentford last week or a few days ago. He and Bruno kind of similar in a way, but not quite. But I don't see him offering anything that's even worth more than what Bruno offers. But for now, because he's coming off of injury or whatnot, I'd keep him, but I'd bench him. I want somebody better than him. If Bruno's getting more games than him right now, or not Bruno, but anybody else in the midfield is ahead of him, even when he was first introduced and wasn't injured, not injured. I think he benches the best I would want for him. So bench for him, keep but bench. Bruno Fernandes, our current captain. Jesus Christ. It's been a steady decline for this guy. Ugh, reminds because my eyes are starting to become light sensitive. I don't have my... Okay, anyway. Bruno Fernandes, keep first team, but he's approaching 30. I think he has probably 2 more years left in him, and I would start to look to sell him after a while because he started off really nice and like on a hot streak in his first year, second year. All these things led to him. He has the right attitudes. He applies himself or whatnot, but he's a bit of a tryhard when it comes to trying to make things happen in the game he's just that person that just overdoes things a bit too much, overcomplicates things a bit too much, overthinks things a bit too much, and that actually works to his detriment. So I'd keep him in the first team, but eventually I think within the next 3 years I'm looking to move him on. Christian Eriksen, thanks for your services, bruv. Sell. Ahmad, he's been very good, but he's someone I think needs to move into a less physical squad, a team that can hold and move the ball around a bit more. The way Ten Hag wants to play requires way more dynamism and stamina and ability and athleticism, which he doesn't quite have, and he just gets overrun sometimes. Real good play of the ball. I would say he really. I'm gonna move him on simply because the way the manager wants to play, or he's playing currently, it does not suit him. It doesn't work for him. It overworks him. So I think if we had adjusted every time he hits the pitch and he's in a certain formula of a team, then we should play a bit differently. But if you just plop him into a squad that is just playing a certain type of way, that does not benefit him. He'll never shine. He'll never be able to have a big impact. So for that sake, I'd move him on and thank him. He's done very well for us, all things considered. Free signing. Ahmad, keep bench. I would want him to eventually get into the first team. I do not know why the manager refuses to play him. We need the backup. We need the players. What the fuck is he doing? I don't understand it. It's one of my personal gripes with Ten Hag. Ahmad, keep, bench. Casemiro, bench for now. But at the end of Ten Hag's third year, he needs to go. But bench for now. Keep, but bench. Facundo Pelestri. I don't know. I haven't seen him on loan. Every time when he's been here and he's had some games, he hasn't shown himself to be, too great. So I don't know. I really don't know. Keep him, sell him. I don't know. I'd put him on the transfer list. I put him on the transfer list and see if we get a good bite for him. And if not, if we don't get a reasonable fee for him, I'd keep him, bench him, maybe even have him play in the reserves in the meantime, and bring him up whenever needed, and then eventually look to move him on. So I'd say keep, bench, low on the pecking order, bench, borderline reserves. Donny van de Beek, sell. He's been done dirty. I felt so sorry for him. He's been done so dirty. But at the same time, whenever he's been given chances, he hasn't really grabbed any opportunity by the scruff of the neck. So I think it's time to put him out of his misery. He's on loan right now. Get some money, sell. Kobe Menu, keep, blood clot, keep. This kid is smooth, and he has a lot of a high ceiling and a bright future. He should be on the bench though. He should be, for now, learning and observing and getting some game time, but definitely learning and growing and not being put in such at the focal point in our midfield. You really need to protect him for the next few years and allow him to develop before we run him into the ground and break him, or people figure him out and he gets discouraged or anything like that. So he's good enough to play in the team. He's clearly good enough to play in the first team. But for now, because he's young and we want to make sure that he has a chance to grow, not get injured, not get overrun, keep but bench with the occasional start the occasional starts. Scott McTominay. I was saying that, what's his name? Mount is not. Is it Mount or Amrabat? Amrabat is no better than Scott McTominay. I would say I'd keep Scott McTominay for now, bench. Love his attitude, applies himself, has a lot of deficiencies, but is still willing to give his best for the club. And we need that type of attitude right now. So I'd keep him, put him on the bench. Probably one of our top scorers right now, if not the top scorer in the squad right now. So we want better. So I'd keep but bench. Daniel Gore, don't know much about him. Don't even know where the hell he plays. Where does he play? He's a midfielder? Attacking midfielder. I haven't seen enough of him, so I have no clue. How old is he? How old is this dude? Profile. He's 19. Send him out on loan again. I'd send him out on loan again. Haven't seen enough of him. Hannibal. Hannibal is about 19 as well. Hannibal is 21. Okay, so Hannibal, depending on how well his loan goes, I can't remember where he's at right now, I may keep him and put him on the bench, or have him play with the reserves in the meantime and bring him up when needed and see if he could rise to the occasion. And I'm also not averse to or opposed to selling him as well. So, and a toss up, I think Hannibal has a bit of that type of nous, like Scott McTominay, where he's a fighter and that type of thing. Might want him in the mix a bit. So maybe keep on the bench, low pecking order on the bench, reserves fill in on the bench when we have injuries or whatever. So I'd probably keep him but bench. Daniel Gore, if he's any good, keep but bench, but probably at 19 might send him out on another loan. Omari Forson has made a few first team appearances, hasn't done much. I'd keep him at the current place he's at. How old is he? He's 19. Yeah, I'd keep him at the current place he's at. A manager has seen something in him to bring him on, so allow him to develop. I think he's getting just enough game time to have him understand the level of the game that he's getting into. But at the same time, well out of the firing line, hopefully. So I'd keep but bench. Play in the reserves, play in the under 21s, whatever it is. Anthony Martial should have been sold about 3 years ago. Goodbye. Marcus, I'm gonna save Marcus Rashford because, so Anthony Martial, sell. Jadon Sancho, sell. Didn't like his attitude. Didn't like how he handled things. He should be gone. He should have been sold instead of loaned. But sell him. I don't even need to get too much into that. He's had an attitude. I don't like how he handled himself in the public eye with that issue. Even if he had an issue, he didn't deal with it professionally. A bit of an ego in that sense. I understand. I know what it's like to be in a position where you feel the manager isn't giving you the just dues or even a fair shake. So I understand that. And then also to top it all off, how we play is not versing what works best for him. So I would sell him. Anthony, keep but bench. Spend a lot of money on him. Is yet to come good. I'd keep him for one more season during this Ten Hag's tenure, see if anything happens, but he will definitely be firmly on the bench. He's not a starter for me. He's absolutely horrible in my opinion. He hasn't done anything right, really. He had a few good, take-ons today and an assist or something like that, but also gave away a penalty, but didn't quite give away a penalty. I think it wasn't a penalty, but still, I think that he is definitely not first team material, so he should be at least on the bench. And then at the end of Ten Hag's tenure, whether he stays or goes, sell that son of a gun. Alejandro Garnacho, future talent. Very, 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 very good. Very tenacious. Does his thing. I love his attitude. I love how he goes about things. Keep. He is... Would he be first team? I don't think so just yet. I think... And he's only 19. So yeah. So he'll be first string bench. You know what I mean? One of the first names on the team sheet, but on the bench, and he'll come on to make an impact. Come on to make an impact. Kind of keep him on the fire, out of the firing line. Get somebody to take that spot. A more experienced and more on a higher level of a player to take his spot on the right or left, wherever we will play him. Who would do that same job? Who's just better than him? So that he gets the time to grow. So yeah, keep bench, or I would be very close to first team. Rasmus Højlund, keep. Good future. Still needs to add some strings to his bow because he's being bullied in this, right now. Still has to get his feet in this thing. But he's stood up and been counted, even though he hasn't had a lot of goals. Had a nice little purple patch. Hopefully he gets another one before the end of the season. I think it'll be a good debut season if that happens. If he doesn't, it'll be a bit under average, but I still expect more from him, so he needs another year. So keep. He also shouldn't be first teaming at 21. I don't think he should be the first team striker, but if we can persist with him, if we want to, and get someone to challenge him, get competition for him, or just get someone to take that first team spot and kind of bring him back and have them rotate or something. But yeah, keep. Bench, high first string bench, close to first team. Let's see. Shola Sharater, I would sell. How old is he? He's 20. Yeah, sell. It's time to sell. The look of him, I don't think he's strong enough, powerful enough. I haven't seen enough of him that really shows me that he's that he has anything to be he hasn't like ripped any trees up, you know what I mean? So I would sell him. Now we down to some of the tricky ones. It is down to Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford, fucking hell, this dude sometimes, especially this season, is not making a good case for himself. I will start to say that bias-wise, Marcus Rashford should stay because he is Manc born and bred. You know what I mean? And that alone should give you preferential treatment if you want to be a sentimental fan like myself. But his attitude is a bit fucked. I don't know why. Because the first few years of him, he gave everything. And maybe he's at the point where he's hit that wall and he felt like maybe I'm not getting the adulation or the respect that I deserve after putting myself on the line and playing through injuries and all these type of things, which he did in the last few seasons. and he's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna put myself about the way that I used to because I only have a finite amount of years, and maybe he's trying to adjust his game almost like Ronaldo did when he's like, okay, I can't keep trying to take people on the wings all the time, you know what I mean? But I want to find ways in which to exert the least amount of energy and reap the most rewards goal wise and GA wise, so that I could keep myself relevant and be the main striker, be the main force, the front, the face, and the main top scorer for this squad. But it hasn't been working out. And I think when it hasn't worked out for him, he's gotten a bit petulant. The last few games, he's just been walking around. He hasn't been tracking back. He hasn't been pressing. Like it's Martial esque in his body language, and it shows. And we're getting tired of that shit. You know what I mean? We're getting tired of that petulance. And I think you know, people were calling for his head last season or the season before, when he didn't have a good season. But yeah, it was the season before, sorry, because I think he had 30 goals in all competitions last season. And here's my thing with Rashford. I think about 2 years ago, I didn't want to admit it to people, but I was like, Marcus Rashford is as good as he's going to get now. He's not going to get any better. This is his ceiling, I think. He's 26 now, I think. So he is as good as I think he's going to get, which is still a Premier League level player, but the type of player you would probably see at a Crystal Palace, Everton, maybe as high up as, well, not this season's Everton, and not this season's Everton, but as high up as a mid-table team. Well, I guess, which is apt. He's where we are right now, so that makes sense. It's relevant, but and one of the main things is since he came in and he was allowed to embed himself into the squad, and he was in when he was established as a first teamer, he's never had consistent seasons where he's been successful. He's had a good season, then he's had an off season, he has a good season, he has an off season, so he's not world class. He's not a generational talent. He's a guy that works hard, he's a guy that is talented, he's a guy that's physically gifted, and a guy that has the right mentality, or maybe had the right mentality to get him to this point. He grabbed the opportunity that he had with both hands and made the most of it. And as a person, as a human being, the way he was raised, an amazing human being. And I got nothing but love and respect for him. So I personally, sentimental wise, would love to see him play at United until he retires. You know what I mean? Because I think he's kind of earned that, because he's seen us through some very, very bad times and has been a shining light in the darkest decade of our history in the last 50 years. Well, not 50, maybe 20 years. So I think that deserves, a bit of respect. But yeah, I don't like the attitude he has now. So rather than be a first teamer, I think, to me, the way he's playing right now, I'd keep him, but he'd be bench. All right, and that leads me to the final person. After this 30-minute rant, I wanted it to be very short, but it's not. Mason Greenwood. Fucking hell. I could get cancelled if I say the wrong thing. Fuck it out. So, all right, let's get into the beats. Mason Greenwood, generational talent. I put him, Kobe Mainu, maybe Alejandro Garnacho on the same level. If we had the three of them coming in at the same time, we'd be talking about the class of 2002 or some 2022 or something like that. You know what I mean? Generational talent. This kid is ridiculously good. And I remember seeing him come in, and I'm like, this kid is better than every other forward that we have on this pitch. I don't care who the guy. I don't care. He's even more efficient than Ronaldo. More efficient than Ronaldo, young Ronaldo, growing up in United, in his formative years at United. And to me, that said a lot. I was really I was so looking forward to seeing how this kid developed in our team, and I so wanted to build this team around him, Rashford, and Martial as a front three. I was gassed. I wanted to see what that would have looked like, and well, he fucked up. I think you have a kid that is under the age of 18 whose cerebral frontal cortex isn't developed yet. You have you put him in mature situations. You you glaze him, and you blow smoke up his ass about his talent, how great he is, and and no one is checking him, putting him in place, teaching him right from wrong. He's always had a bunch of yes people around him. No one's teaching him or showing him how to respond or behave with women, or how to respect people and whatnot. And the arrogance that comes along with all this money and responsibility and all this type of things. Like, he fucked up. And I think that in some way, his parents failed him, his coaches failed him, the club failed him, because holistically you wanna have good human beings as players in your squad as well. A club, especially way back, was as integral to the community and to the city as the pub, as the community center, as a church. It's a staple. It's a center where people really seem to like, where the it had an effect on the overall development of the youth in that city. And I think that United have lost their way when it comes to that, having that type of effect on not only the community and the youth, but the players themselves, the youth players that come through. And I think that they really need to check themselves. Mason Greenwood is a prime example, and it should be a wake up call for the club to remind itself of the duties that it owes these kids, because Mason Greenwood, I don't think deep down is a horrible human being. I think he was a misguided young man, and even how it was handled irks me to this core. The father, his girlfriend's father, sort of like, breaks in for him and making excuses for him, and how this whole thing was kind of covered up, and where it is at now with him being a father with this girl. And it all just seems like an elaborate type of like cover up and save your PR, your image, and it just reeks of disingenuousness from me, to me, sorry. And I'm sad for this situation. Never mind us missing out on such a great player and seeing him play for us. I'm just saddened that it went down like this, and I'm sad for his now wife or girl or mother of his child, his partner. I'm sad that she had to go through that. She shouldn't have had to, and she shouldn't be made to feel any type of way, or that she needs to cover for him or anything like that. If that's the case, allegedly, if that's the case, like, it's horrendous that these kids younger than 20, 25 had to go through something as serious as this, especially in the public eye. And that whole thing is just sad. Now, with that said, there's some things that these are the type of things that if you were in a regular job, it would be viewed as, something that is what's the word? Disenfranchising? I don't know what the proper word is. But it brings the club, it brings your company into disrepute with your public behavior. And if anybody else was in a corporate job or any other type of job, and this was found out and it wasn't made in the public eye, and like, you would receive your walking papers. They would probably want to distance themselves from you. And I think that's what Man United really drug their feet on. I don't think that it's right. We do not support any form of domestic abuse in any form, no matter if the person is misguided or anything like that. They need help and that type of thing. So I think Mason Greenwood needed help and needs help. I think he needs to be still up to this date properly like taught and informed and going through therapy as well as she, but he has to face the consequences for what he did. And he needs to face consequences, basically, and not just being on loan and still being on a football for a year, then going on loan and playing football again, and not sure what's happening with your United career. No, I think everyone owes it to put a chapter on this situation, and it hurts. It hurts because ideally I would want this kid to have a redemption arc. I would want him to learn from his mistakes, raise a great family, be a better man, help a lot of other people and young kids that are going through this situation that he did as a young player growing up, and help them understand how to be better, well-adjusted human beings and men in this space. And I really hope that he gets to that point and he does make that growth. However, I don't think he should play for United ever again because of that. That was horrible, and there are consequences for what you do. And I think honestly that means his termination. So it's with a heavy heart. I think we should sell Mason Greenwood. Anyway, and that's that. Thanks for listening in. All right. Oh yeah, Ten Hag. Ten Hag. I think I've already said it. If you haven't heard what I've said on, go follow me on Twitter at RedventsTV, Twitter, or X now. So how I feel about him, he needs the entire structure to be worked around him for him to be successful. I don't think that will be the case. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the people above, rightfully so, will have a say and want to have the ultimate say as to how they want the team to develop, the type of football we want to play. And I don't know if that will be what Ten Hag can provide. So I think in the end, he will get the sack. So I think that it does make sense to sack him now. We are doing a bunch of, we're still in a bunch of transition. We need the least amount of shaking up right now is better. So I think Ten Hag should remain. Ten Hag should remain to see out his 3-year contract. And then we part ways. And during this next 18 months or so, we find his replacement and put the structure in place for his replacement. And even if we were to build around him, I don't even know if he would be the guy to take us to the promised land. I do think that he is the guy to steady the ship. I do think that he's the guy to leave the club in a better place structurally and team-wise better than and culture-wise better than he met it. But I don't think he's the person. I'm beginning to see and understand. I don't think he's the guy that will get us there unless we go all in with him. All in. I'm talking about Sir Jim and them have to give him everything he wants and just change everything for him. And if they decide to do that at the end of the season, at the end of his tenure, at the end of his 3rd year, then I say, okay, cool, gun ho. He has everything at his disposal right now. He has the full back and full support. He cannot make it. There's no excuse for him. There's no excuse again for him at all. But the way that I see things are going, I don't think that he will be considered moving forward. So I think you keep Ten Hag till the end of his tenure, which is next season, and then we part ways. Anyway. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care. This is Kyle from RedventsTV. Take care. Peace.